Dylan, man, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I'm such a fan of
Thanks, Patrick.
Tapawingo.
Thank you, bro.
Um,
Thank you.
I mean, dude, like I seen like the previews and I was like, oh my gosh, dude, like this is a movie for me. There's mullets, there's martial arts,
It's
there's
got all the crazy stuff. It's
there's
awesome.
doom
Yeah.
buggies.
Thank you. Yeah. It's exactly what I guess you and I have a similar taste then because it's everything that I wanted in a movie. I was like, I want to, this time I want to make one that I would want to watch. So, um, there you go.
Oh man, okay. So dude, tell me how you got the story, man.
Oh boy. All right. So I'll give you a short version because I could go on forever and ever. And sorry about this mustache. My daughter this morning said, "Can I please cut it into a mustache?" I was like, "Sure." Um, let's see. So the story, how I got like the overall story, how it came to be, or how the script came to me.
How the story came to be.
Okay, so the original writer Brad DeMaria, he's out of Chicago. He wrote his script back in like oh nine or 2010, and he submitted it to me. I had just graduated film school, and I'd started a production company, and so he I guess he got set up with a couple producers, and they brought it to me and my company, and that's where I became aware of it. And I remember our interns really liked it. They really liked it a lot. I tried a couple times and it didn't like click exactly at the very beginning, for whatever reason. It just didn't click. And so it went away. And then I just remember like every couple years after that, I remember how much the interns liked it. And I was like, why didn't you like this thing? Like you should, like there's aspects of it that make sense, but what is it in it? And then I kind of as a almost like a creative pursuit. I was like, well, try to figure out what in that script didn't work for your own writing and your own filmmaking. And I'd read it and I was like, okay, I think my big issue with it was one, I went to school for directing. So, producing is just one of those offshoots that you kind of have to do now. Not necessarily uh exactly what I wanted to be doing, but it's just part of it. So, and I was looking at that script as a director, what I would do in these circumstances and how I would shoot specific things and how I would tell the story and how I would cast and how we would do all these specifics that you're supposed to do. And that's not as fair to someone else who's directing because you're always going to want to do it a little differently. Like everyone creative wants to do it a little differently. But that was one of my things that I was like, okay, well, that's obvious. That's something that's going on. But what else? And I was like, well, in the story, I think I started picking out this I think should be another way, and this should be another way, and this should be another way, and this should be another way. And because of all that, I was like, you know what? I think if I got the chance to make this, I and do these things differently, I feel like it would go over. It would make more sense to me. A good for instance is I don't want to tell any spoilers, but at the end of the original script, uh, Nate, who's played by Jon Heder in our movie, he went off to Colby with someone else, um, which was unexpected. And I decided that doesn't make sense. Like that doesn't show his growth as a person and his willingness to go take that next step and do the things that he needs to do to, actually complete an arc. So that was one thing. There's a bunch, but that was one of them. And so after that, around 20, like 13, 14, I called Brad's agent and he just kind of blew me off. And a couple years later, maybe 16, 17, I called the agent again and he was like, "We don't rep him anymore. Good luck." And I was like, "Okay." And then like a couple years later, 2018 maybe, I was like, "You know what? Why am I calling all these people? Brad's number's right here on the script. Like his email's right here. His email's right here. Let me just email him." And I emailed him, and it was crazy, man. Like, he emailed me back a day, like within a day, same day, which is great. And he's like, "I can't believe you emailed me at this address. I've just left this job. They're turning my email off tomorrow. It was a Thursday. We're turning it off tomorrow. I'm moving to Virginia. I took a job at the University of Virginia. I'm going to be there now. I'm not doing anything with the script. If you want to make it, yeah, awesome. Go ahead. You can make it." One. And two, I was like, I went to school at University of Virginia. And my daughter was going to University of Virginia. So I was like, dude, I can come see you in like 2 weeks. I'm going to be there for, to see her. So, and then that was really neat because then we got to get together and actually sit down and have coffee a bunch of times and talk about the whole thing. So that's kind of how it all came to me and what set up at least that beginning step of I can make the movie, we can start moving forward in 2019, and now what do we do from there?
Oh man. Oh, and then what was the next step, man? Getting it made.
The next step. So look, I'm pretty lucky. I think filmmaking, man. One, it's really tough, right? It's tough. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of people you have to bring together, and there's always someone who wants your job and thinks they can be doing it better, differently, whatever. I think that's also why you try to find people that are good and good at their jobs, and then kind of easy to be around, fun to be around, whatever it is. Because then you just want to, you're like, I can work with this person forever because it doesn't feel, it's not painful. So, and there was some of that. You always find a person or two on each set, right? That you're like, I'm going to work with this guy. This is great. I've found my blank, right? Cinematographer, whatever. And on my first two movies that I directed, I worked with a casting director named Alan Hooper. He's amazing. He worked on Modern Family and Superior Donuts, the new Frasier, like all kinds of stuff. He's great, and he's just a really like normal guy. Like, right, he likes comic books. We got along about that. He likes like a lot of the same stuff that it seems like we like. So he's just a really like even keeled, easy dude. And I called. He was one of my first calls to be like, "Hey, I got the script. I think I want to do this. What do you think?" And he's like, right off the bat, he's like, "Sure, I'm in. Let's do it." So that's a huge step because having a good casting director, someone that can help figure out cast and make um, uh, those calls to cast and to agents and managers is a huge part of the battle, right? Because otherwise, if you're just an indie filmmaker, it's hard to have that kind of credibility where they're going to pick up the phone. They're going to say this is real, or they're even going to say I should put my whatever in this. So that was one of the next steps. Like we had Brad, he's on board. He said you're cool to rewrite it, rewrite parts that you want, whatever. And then I called Alan and said, what do we do for cast? And then that's where that process started. Like the rest of it, of finding locations and figuring out where we're going to shoot, that came later. But it was really what kind of cast are you getting? And financing, like making sure that the financing is in place and getting the cast ready. And that was a whole thing in itself, man, because we started in 2019, the like middle of 2019, maybe towards the end. And then 2020 happened. So COVID happened where everything was shut down. We had at least one actor attached for the role of Nate, who I think would have been good. And he's not Jon Heder, but he would have been good. And he only wanted to give me like this is going to sound so luxurious, but he wanted to give me like 19 days, I think. And I had done that before on other shoots, and when you don't have enough time, it always kind of takes out of the movie a little bit. And I was like, I don't want that. I want enough time to make sure I get all my shots. Like for me, I map everything out. Like whether it's indie filmmaking or what, it's a puzzle, and I do every single piece. And I'm like, I'm going to use this shot for this portion, and then I need this insert for 3 to 4 seconds or 2 seconds, and then I need to cut to this. So you get your coverage, but I make sure I get those pieces so that you can put the puzzle together. And I was like, that's not going to give me enough time to make sure I get the puzzle to get every angle I want to make sure that the movie makes sense the way I want it to make sense. So it didn't work out with him along with COVID happening. And then COVID was a huge thing, man, like trying to get everyone on board actor wise. Eventually a lot of actors were like, we're not working, nothing's being made. So it became, yeah, we're interested. What's going on? Same thing happened with the music because of COVID. Like everyone thought the world was over and no one was going to make a movie ever again. And I don't know, man. Like we started calling people. I started calling people about music back in 2019. It took like 4 years, 4.5 years to get all the music. And at least during the beginning, they were like, they wanted to take our calls. And they were like, oh yeah, you want like 6 songs? Great. Yeah, sure, sure. Because we're not making any more movies. So great. And they gave us like a good indie rate. So and then that turned into, because of that, you got more songs because you had some of these awesome first line stuff. Like when I because I had Queen, no one else is going to say no because they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you can have, yeah, sure. But then of course, you get some bands who they're reps anyway who are like, yeah, no, we want to get paid the same as Queen. And I'm like, guys, you're not Queen. You're not Queen. Like there's a few that you can say yes, but we had it from some bands that you're like, that doesn't make sense.
Oh man.
It was a whole thing, man, whole thing.
Oh, because it's like I don't know, like it's just like this movie is such a perfect movie for me because it's
Oh.
like from the bands, you got wrestling, you got mullets, you got everything I love into one movie. It's crazy. Um, and you brought up the music,
Mm.
man, like the soundtrack to the movie, man. Kiss, Rush,
Yeah.
Pat Benatar, Focus.
Yeah. Dude,
Like
Hocus Pocus Focus is such a good song, and I don't think a lot of people knew about it before we kind of put it back out there. I mean, there's some, but like we had, look, I'll tell you, one of the first pieces of music I got was a Weird Al song, Dare to Be Stupid. I'm a huge Weird Al fan, right? So, Dare to Be Stupid from, I think the first time I heard it was in the Transformers movie from
yes,
'84. It was amazing. Love that part of the movie. So I was like, oh, if I can get this, that'd be perfect for that fight when they're going up the hill. And we got it. And again, I told you, I map out everything, like everything. And it's before you cut it. So you're kind of like saying, all right, how long is this fight going to be going on screen? And so how much time do I need? And that was the one song that I made a mistake with because I asked for not enough. We're still trying to figure out how much you can ask for and what the standard is. And incidentally, for anyone who's going to listen, you should always ask for at least a minute and 30. Uh, go get the full song if you can, but a minute and 30 because that'll cover most of your stuff. Um, and we didn't. We asked for 53 seconds. I was like, I think from mapping this out and seeing how long it'll go, I need 53 seconds. I think the fight is going to be, I'm only going to need it for 45 or whatever. And I was wrong. I was completely wrong. The fight ended up being much more kind of dopily elaborate and kind of fun. So I didn't want to cut away. I wanted to leave it on longer and create some more moments out of that. And so Weird Al didn't work. And we called the Weird Al people and they were just like, no, we're not giving you any more. We don't want to. And I was like, okay. It's not Weird Al. Like Weird Al's Weird Al. It's like his people just said, no, we don't want to. So that sucked. But after we lost that, it's all everything hinged on everything else with the music, right? Like it was all it's just every song was important and frustrating in its own way. So when that fell through, because one, I love Weird Al and I love Dare to Be Stupid and I love Transport. I was like, oh man, that sucks. What am I going to do now? And because I had gone through so much music, I love classic rock, so I'd gone through music for so long, trying to figure out what would work and what fits the tone, right? Like we were offered Leonard Skinner, but Skinner's awesome, like absolutely, unarguably awesome, but their tone is very different for this movie. It would feel more serious and maybe, playing any kind of Tuesday's Gone, whatever at the end is going to feel very different than what we had. So I was really bummed out about that. And then I think it was so crazy, man, with this movie. I was like, you know what? Let me just look up again after I came down a little bit. Let me just go on YouTube and just type in classic rock songs and see what comes up. And effing Focus came up, and I was like, I had never heard it until then, which is insane. Like, I was like, I can't believe this song exists. This is like brilliant. And it just worked. It just worked. And those people were super cool. They were like, oh yeah, you want to? Yeah, sure. You got it. Go ahead. Do it. Yeah, you're good. It was amazing. So I'm with you on Focus.
dude, it's like a heavy song, kind of like it's like a metal song. It's like a '70s metal song.
Dude, they should be so much better, more well known. Like a yodeling rock. It is so good. It's so ridiculous and amazing.
Um, and also, dude, I mean, because I got my Quiet Riot shirt on, because Quiet Riot is one of my all-time favorite bands, and you also had my favorite number one song, "Metal Hell," is in the movie. Um, so could you tell me about the Quiet Riot
Oh, dude.
ness of the
I think
movie?
Quiet Riot. So I wanted to make it. It felt like it felt like a '70s movie to me. Like I tell people when they ask me, I try not to tell them, but like 76 is kind of when I pegged it. But I think someone brought up at a Q&A, I don't know if it was a Quiet Riot song now, but I think it might have been like released in 82 or 83. So they made a big deal about saying it was like the early 80s. And I was like, guy, it's all okay. It's somewhere in the past in our memory. Like it's all fine. Quiet Riot was, I believe, pretty sure, was that written in the original script? I'd have to go back and look if Brad wrote that in or not, or if I changed it to Quiet Riot. I think I may have, you know what? I think I might have changed it to Quiet Riot because I was like, this will end up being really cool if she's a roadie for this specific band. Um, because you wouldn't expect one, a woman to be a roadie, but also if I can get that music and play that at these moments, it already like pumps up her character into, all the things that I wanted in a female character, right? Like not her personality does not hinge on her relationship to a guy. It's she has her own goals, she has her own aspirations, and she's trying to get them, which also helps with the ending of the movie. Because I'm sure some people are going to say, why didn't he go off with Gretchen? Well, because he needs to do it on his own, and she came to get her GED. She's doing other stuff. She needs to complete that. She can't just upend everything over this. Anyway, Quiet Riot. There you go.
All right. And did you have any interactions with any of the band members from Quiet Riot?
No, no. It was all, yeah, man. It would be so much more interesting if I did talk to bands. I think it's all like business stuff. It's all producing stuff, like calling agents and managers, which is not the most fun. Um, Calling agents and managers and saying, "Can we do this?" and then them getting back to you a while later, and of course making you feel like they have all this other important stuff to do and they don't have enough time, but then there's still a mess. It's a frustrating mess. I did say after this one, after getting all this music, I said, if I get to make another movie, I'm going to get one song and I'm going to record it 50 different ways. And that'll be funny. Like, I Need a Hero. I'll do that in 50 different versions. Like, up tempo, low tempo, depressing, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be, I think that you can get a lot of comedy from that, I think.
Oh, right
Yeah,
on.
man.
And then Kiss. Probably the last thing I'm gonna ask about the music, man. But
Kiss.
Kiss.
Kiss is amazing. Like, it was funny because at the very beginning, their people said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, you're good. What do you want? Anything from Kiss you want?" And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Holy crap!" Because I love Kiss. I was like, "Did they just say we can use anything? All right, well, we want these four songs." And then they're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! You can't be a Kiss movie. You can have one." And I was like, "What? You just told me." And then it was a whole thing, man, because I was like, "Oh, is it Detroit Rock City or which one do we use?" Because Detroit Rock City for the gearing up and going out to the fight would have been perfect, and I had that as a temp for a while. I ended up going with Love Gun because I was like, for this moment with this character with Dot, this feels like it just makes a lot of sense for what's happening. So
Or gearing up to War Machine, man.
yeah,
Like Kiss.
I mean,
I
there's
mean,
there's
it's
so
kind
much.
it's a
Yeah,
deeper cut, but I mean, that would be cool too. But
yeah.
dude, I mean, that's so rad, man. And also, like the mullet, man. Was, was he always gonna have a mullet?
Yes, for me, yes. I think like I think Jon is like incredible actor. He's really, really, really talented. He's really good. I don't think he gets enough credit for as good an actor he is. And it's because he was Napoleon. And people can't forget Napoleon. He played it so well that people can't get past it, right? Like sometimes there's just actors that are so good at what they do in that one thing that people can never see anything else. Um, and it's one, a credit to Jon because he was really good in that, but he's kind of good in everything. He puts everything into it. He puts in 100%, and it shows. It shows in his work if you pay attention. Now for this, I kind of knew that. I was like, Jon has a very specific voice. He has a very specific kind of presence, and I want this character to be kind of, how do I get him to feel awesome, like awesome from the 70s, the way I want him to feel. And what can I do to also counteract everyone's look at when they see John, they only see Napoleon. And I was like, all right, well, I think one, the character should have a mustache because mustaches are awesome. And I think he should have, well, what else can we do here? Well, why don't we give him a mullet and cut up his hair? And I think it was really quick that I was like, yeah, that makes sense to me. That feels like it would work for this character driving this dune buggy and kind of with whatever pop culture is going on in the 70s of who popularity of those characters and those movies and stuff. I was like, this feels like it makes sense. So that's why.
I mean, because I mean, this is probably like one of the most badass characters that John has played. This and Trimmers. Did you see the Trimmers sequel that he did?
No, he talked about it on set. I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite Trimmer movies.
Okay. I'll give
He's
it a
great
watch.
in it. Um, Also did the Conan van. Is that
Yeah.
your van?
No, man. So we shot in Virginia. It was one of the things that I like to point to. No one else cares, but I like to point to where we shot because you can kind of tell when everyone kind of likes a script because all of the keys on the film, the my producing partner, at least for the movie, and our DP and um, the production designer, like they all were like, "Hey, we should shoot this in blank," and it was always where they're from. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, that means that you're seeing where you grew up in this, so you're relating to it. That's really good. You all lose the conversation because I grew up in Virginia. We're gonna shoot in Virginia, because I know that area, and I feels like Virginia to me. It definitely didn't feel like an LA movie at all. It didn't want to be in LA. And we were living in LA at the time before we moved back to Virginia. So it all kind of worked out. Now in Virginia, in Richmond, they were very, very, we shot in Hopewell, Virginia, just south of Richmond. So it was kind of in Hopewell, kind of in Richmond, most all of our scenes. And I think it was a guy that owns, he has a band. I think the band's called Valiant himself. And then I think he owns a pizza place called Hot for Pizza. I think that's his place, and it's good pizza. And that was his van. And I just remember I said, "Hey, we need like I'm looking for like a conversion van. Let's call it like an old 70s sexy van or something." And one of our people, she said, "Well, I know a guy that has like a pretty interesting van." I was like, "Well, what's on it?" And she was like, "It's brown and it's this and that." She didn't mention anything about Conan. And it just showed up and I was like, "Holy crap, are you kidding me? You could have led with that." Like how cool is that to have a Frazetta Conan painting on the side? It's like so awesome.
Oh man, it's just so rad. And I think it was before I even seen the movie. I was like just looking up pictures of vans,
Yeah.
because I do that. And one of them was that Conan van.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like, dude, I seen this van before.
I
Like,
know that van. I got to see this movie.
yeah. Oh
That's
man,
awesome.
did you have you thought about getting the van, seeing if you could get the Conan van?
No, I haven't because I still have the Winnie and I have the buggy and the mini bike. So I'm like kind of, busting at the seams with vehicles. Um, the Conan van was, dude, it was cool. Yeah, on the inside, it was cool too because it was a like carpeted interior everywhere on the walls, had shelves. You could tell there was like areas for like tumbler glasses. Like it was pretty neat. No, I didn't ask the guy. I haven't gotten there yet, but I don't know if he'd let it go, man. I don't know if he'd let it go.
I wouldn't. I, no way, man. And the Doom buggy, man.
Hmm.
How'd you decide on the Doom buggy?
Yeah, like so I think Brad, I think he had in the original script that it was a dune buggy, but I think he meant to like he wanted to do an old um like the ones from the cartoons that they actually ride on the beach that we've seen like I don't remember the exact cartoons anymore, but they're in like old cartoons. I looked at that and I found like some awesome ones, like super cool ones. And I was like, okay, this could work. Is it orange? Is it this? Is that? And I'm looking through it. And eventually, as I was looking on like Craigslist or something that I don't know if people use anymore, I came across a racing dune buggy that was used in the dunes and the beach races in California in the like in Central California in like 60s, 70s, and someone was selling one, and they were like, this was grandma's dune buggy that she used to race. And they showed a picture, and it was like this old, like gristly lady, like at this dune buggy. And I think it might have even had the three stripes on it. And I was like, holy crap, that is awesome. And that would make a lot of sense for this character. And I contacted the guy, and after a little bit of contact back and forth, I was like, is this really going to work? Does this guy really have it? Does he really want to sell it? And when I couldn't get a real answer, I just was like, that, but that's a cool dune buggy. Let me just look that up. And I found someone else in LA who just builds his own cars, and he had one. And I just bought his. It was like not, it was like 3 grand. It was amazing. I shouldn't have told you that. It was like 3 grand. And then I got the colors put on, and we shipped it East Coast, and that's it. Like that's how it came about. It was grandma's racing dune buggy turned into that.
Oh man,
Yeah,
because I kind of want one now, man. Like
dude,
after watching the movie.
it's awesome. Like it's harder to drive than you would think. It is fast, and it'll go through sand and all that. And it's got these giant tires, but it's like you really gotta heave it around to get those front wheels moving, right? Like and I think the exhaust like points up at the sky. So any kind of rain or water that gets in there and you're in trouble, there's a few like issues that have not been covered for. I can understand why they would do that, maybe to not get sand in or something, I guess. Um, but I bet you could make it street legal. I bet you could do something.
Oh, dude, it wasn't street legal.
I mean, we had a license plate and we had seatbelts, so I think that's what's required.
Because I do know a guy I worked with who had a dune buggy.
Yeah.
I'd never seen it, so I don't know what kind of dune buggy it was. Um, he just said he had a dune buggy that he drove around. So
Mm.
I don't know, but maybe I
I
might
don't
get
think
one
most people are
someday.
going to check, so I think you're right.
Like, and also, dude, the cast, man, Janine Gershon, man, tell me about her, man.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Alan is great, right? Like the casting director, he was any role that we had, he was like, "Well, what do you think?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I feel like it should be kind of like this." He's like, "All right, let me get a list." So he would just put a list together and say, "What do you think of these guys?" And which is awesome. Like that's exactly what you want. And we'd go down and go through it and say, "Hey, this person, this person, this person, maybe. What's our ordering? Well, let's do this, this, this." And then he would go out and make the offer. And a couple times we had people and they had to drop for one reason or another. I know you're asking about Gina, and I'm answering you about John Ratzenberger. The original cast, the person we had for that role was, you remember in the all the Adam Sandler movies, like what is the Waterboy? Like there's that Creole coach who you can't understand anything he says.
Yeah, that one did. I know
That
who you're talking
that guy.
about.
He was also in 50 First Dates as Drew Barrymore's dad.
And Little Nicky.
Yeah, he's like in all of his stuff. He's really good. He was our guy to play that role. And then I think he like blew out his knee 2 days before he was supposed to come to set. And we were like, what do we do? Oh crap. And Alan's like, well, who'd you like on the list? I was like, dude, there was no way we're getting John Ratzenberger. He's like, I mean, I could call. Like, what do we, there's no harm from calling. I was like, okay, okay. And he called, and like within like 20 minutes, he's like, yeah, we got Ratzenberger. He's gonna be here tomorrow. I was like, what? Um, I couldn't believe it. For Gina, I know I just went on a huge tangent. For Gina, she was calling us. Her people were calling us and saying we really like them. We got the script. It's I'm like, where how'd you get the script? What are we talking about? And they're like, well, we saw the script. It's really funny. Gina, can you consider Gina for it? Please consider Gina. And I just kept saying in my head, I was like, Gina's too attractive for this movie, right? Like I was like that to me, she's an amazing actress, just amazing. But I was like, I don't. In my mind, it was the lady that role was supposed to be the secretary from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like Midwest kind of a mom, someone who is very um, just comes off as a lady next door, very prim and proper, and then she's saying all this weird stuff. and is sexually so forward that that opposite is funny to me. For Gina, I was like, I feel like she's already that person. Like whether, whether it's true or not. But they really, they really push and they were like, no, 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 look, she's so funny. She's so funny. And they're sending me stuff. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, look, she's a great actress, but I don't know if it's exactly right. And I'm like, I think she's too attractive. And they're like, well, look at this. Look at this clip. She's not attractive in this. And it was like the most ridiculous thing in the world. They sent me a clip of her with like some smudges on her. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, how is that covering up that this is an attractive woman? But ultimately, one, she's an amazing actress, like amazing actress. That if you get someone that is such a good actress that's known that says, I want to be in your movie, I think you're pretty foolish to say no, right? At that point, at some point, you have to say, this person is very excited and to be with us. So you need to take that into account. So anyway, that's how the Gina of it happened, and she got
Oh,
there.
oh man, because
Yeah.
she is so perfect in the movie.
Yeah.
But now that you mentioned the secretary from Ferris Bueller, I'm just like trying to like picture it like
Yeah.
that would make like I would be like, huh, that would make that
Yeah.
scene like s- so much
Dude,
more.
Jeff, opposites are funny, right? Like it's like a base kind of like rule, right? Anytime you can do an opposite, it's gonna be funny. So if you have someone who's being super like crude and super forward sexually, but you make them an innocent looking like mom, you're like, oh yeah, that's funny. But look, Gina did great. She completely did it in a way that I was not. I never had in my head, but I think it worked great. Like she came to set like punk rock, Madonna, early 80s, which is not the way I was like mom next door. So it was very different, but I was like, okay, this could also make sense because if you're talking about, a more mature lady who's trying to keep up with the times and is trying to be at the forefront of fashion and stuff in the late 70s, early 80s, she's like, oh yeah, this new girl Madonna is a big deal. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Like I was like, okay, I get that. I buy that. That makes sense to me. And she's Gina. She's an amazing actress. So she's always gonna do great things. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I mean, and as an '80s metal guy who's younger, I know this type of girl because I
Yeah.
see this type of girl when I go to the metal shows. You know, the older lady, and like her like '80s garbs, who's the cougar
Yeah,
trying to pounce on the
yeah.
younger guy. Um, and also, I was gonna ask, have you ever seen Best of the Best Three?
I think I have. I bet I have. Like my brother loved those movies when we were growing up.
Cause,
So
'cause
I
she's
know
in it. Yeah,
she's
because
in it.
yeah, she's in it. It's like a
Okay.
weird cast. It's like Dee Wallace is in it, and she's in it. I think that there's a yeah, it's crazy.
It sounds fun. Like you already got me. I want to watch it.
Uh, and also Billy Zane, man.
Hmm. Billy, look, Billy is like like fantastic actor. Like he can just do it. Like he's really good at everything. I think he's also a little bit of, I don't want to say method, but I think I've found with actors when they're in a role and they're supposed to be playing a certain way, they get that in their heads and they start like everything emanates from that, right? And a lot of actors do that. A lot of actors don't break character. So for us, Billy was stony on set a lot of the time, right? Like he was very stony, which is good. It's good for the movie. Like he's great in it. He's great. Like at one point, I think he had more lines. He had a lot more lines, and we kind of talked about it, and I said we talked about it, and he said, Why do I have any lines?" And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't. Like maybe it'll work better. And I think he says like two things in the movie, if that, maybe three. Billy was great. He was great. He's great. I was hoping that we could keep that as a secret to get a big pop, but he's Billy. It's hard to keep that a secret.
Oh man, because I got the DVD and he's
Thanks,
doing a
man.
convention in like a couple months, and I think I might have him sign it.
That's
So,
awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. That's so cool.
and also since I'm a big wrestling fan, filming the wrestling scene.
Yeah. Uh, dude, one, I am too. Well, I was like older wrestling like Dusty Rhodes. Like I think there's some stuff that just has like really good music and a really good vibe and all that kind of stuff. That's just a lot of fun. I've been trying to find a way to get that American Dream song into a movie for so long because I just think it would be super funny. The next movie that I'm kind of like looking at trying to do, I would love to get that song in there, but I don't know what the rules are with WWF or WWE and what they own and the family. Like we'll have to figure that out. The wrestling stuff. So it was in the script that they go on a date to wrestling, and Hopewell, where we shot, they were great, man. They really wanted us there for one thing. And so when I went around with the assistant city manager, he had read the script, we had sent it to him. And he already had a bunch of locations like kind of in mind. He's like, "Hey, for this part, we've got this and we've got this and we've got this and we've got this." And all of them were awesome because they were all stuck in the 70s, right? Like it all kind of felt good. And so it took a lot of pressure off. I hate location scouting. It's just one of the worst things that you could ever do. Just driving around randomly looking for places. And he made it so easy. And that scene in that old gym, which I think is also the gym where they shot Hoosiers, I think. I'd have to look for sure because that sounds like a really weird fact. So I may be completely wrong. Um, anyway, we were in this old gym. It already looked 70s, and then we got a group from North Carolina to come up and set up their ring and bring some of their wrestlers. And so it was super cool, man. Like setting that up, having everyone there. It was a really energetic night to be shooting. And then, of course, because of the way we're shooting it, having everyone in the crowd on one side for this person's coverage. And then when we do that person's moving them around to that side and doing that whole bit the whole time, like so you don't have to have 1,000 people there at all times. Like it was cool, man. I really like that scene. I think the music specifically because we have score and we have a soundtrack, right? The score, I don't know if you were wondering about this, but from the very beginning, that the composer Jacob Yoffe, he and I met on my first movie, and he's great. We're like close friends. Our families are close. He moved out of LA as well. He's back in Pittsburgh. Um, he's great. He did the music. He was always going to do the music, and the idea that I had from the beginning was to do something that's more like percussion based. Where do you remember that old cartoon, Peter and the Wolf, that we saw when we were kids, where everything has an instrument, right? Um, I wanted to do something similar for this, so that's why. What do you have? Like I think it's the kick and the snare for Nate and Will for John and Jay whenever they're together, and like the cowbell for Sawyer who plays Oswald. And there's a bunch of like instruments that we keyed off everyone, and so that we put that together whenever those groups are together. Um, and for this moment, because it's a date and it's a little weird and it's wrestling, we added in a little bit more of a kind of Aladdin kind of feeling to it. So I know I'm going all over the place, man, but it was a lot of fun to shoot. And I had tried to shoot something like this back in film school. Like I shot a band, a date going into like a rock band, and they're in the crowd. And so I kind of had a little bit of experience of what do we do? What do we stay away from? Why does this make sense? And I was really happy with the way it turned out. I thought it ended up being really fun.
Oh man, that's so cool. And could you tell me about like the female wrestlers? How were they?
Oh, I mean, they were good, man. Like I did, oh, you're talking about the actors. Okay, so there was
Yeah.
female wrestlers at the beginning that were wrestlers, and they were good. I didn't get to interact with them too much, but the actors, Cynthia and oh my God, I can't remember the French girl's name. It was
Oh, so they weren't.
June Beach, and what was her name? Crap, I don't remember her name. They weren't real wrestlers. No, those were
Oh,
actors. Yeah. I mean, they may have wrestled as well somewhere. Um, but they were great, man. They were like really, you know, most actors, especially most actors, they're all they want to do a good job. They're happy to be there. They're I also try to keep my sets kind of fun, right? Like it all you everything rolls down from like the top. So if you're yelling at people and doing all that crap, this is not my style, and I don't think it works. And it makes everyone tense. It makes people mess up and stuff. So I try not to do that. Now you have to get the job done and be like serious, but it was a good group. It was a really good group. Those two actors were really good. The funny story about that is, um, it was June Beach versus Ina Jean Groff, and Brad had gone. He's from Kansas City. I think he's from Kansas City. He had gone to a wrestling match around Kansas City when he was growing up with his brother. And he there was this is his story, by the way. I'm stealing his story so everyone knows. Um, at that wrestling match, it was like a local wrestling match. And there was someone who would come in who was who was the number one Frenchman. And he was doing French stuff and screaming in a weird bad accent at people. And he told me about it. I was like, that's the funniest thing in the world. He made his name the number one French. It's so stupid. And so I wanted to kind of interject that into whatever we were doing. That's why she's wearing French maid and we're playing kind of Frenchy music and all that kind of stuff. Those actors were great, man. They were great. They got it.
Oh man, that's so cool. And also, so is Dusty Rhodes? Is he your favorite wrestler?
Oh man. When I was growing up, look, everyone liked Hulk Hogan when you were growing up because he's like a hero, he does big leg and all that stuff. I think me and my brother liked Superfly Snuka a lot because he would jump off the top rope, and Ultimate Warrior for a tiny bit of time because he was like this weird dude that comes out of nowhere. Um, so I feel like I'm missing someone because we also watched the cartoon. I like Dusty Rhodes now because it's like all kind of funny, but I like his bit and I like the music a lot. Like that goes a long way. Um, yeah, no, you know what? I mean, I like Macho Man a lot. Like he became like an icon for so many reasons, and when you look at clips now of what he would say and what he would do, you're like, oh, that guy was kind of ahead. He was ahead of it all. Like he kind of got it. Probably Macho Man, probably Macho
Oh, dude, cause like, what is it? Oh, dude, I got the. If I can like move this arm,
Man.
I got like it's upside down, but I got Macho Man tattooed
Oh,
because
that's awesome. There you
I mean,
go.
him and Ricky Morton,
Right,
the Rock and
right.
Roll Express. I mean, I
Yeah.
got the hair, so I mean, um, he's my favorite.
Right on.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, man. Um, also, the martial arts in the movie,
It's
the
so
fight
dopey.
choreography.
Yeah.
What could you tell me about that, man?
It's so dopey. So I think the twins were great. George and Paul Pesaris. I think we were very fortunate to find twins. We had a bunch of twins come out, but they were like really good and funny, and it just kind of worked with them. From the very first day, I was like, you guys are going to be doing capoeira, and so we had someone like a stuntman who knew it. Spent I think he only spent like a day, maybe 2 days with them, trying to teach them capoeira. And and I told him at the beginning, like he asked me, all right, how proficient do they need to be? And I was like, dude, it needs to look like the dopiest fighting in the world. So not proficient at all. Like they just need to seem like they have done it in the past somewhere. And that's what he did. So that was great for the capoeira bit. And then for John, he didn't need much training. I just said, this is what you're gonna do. It's gonna be real dumb. Throw out some kung fu chops and some kicks, and that was all John. The choreography at the end for the fight, I knew I wanted it to look like, like you have references from everywhere. But if we use Wes Anderson, I was like, hey, what would a fight scene in a Wes Anderson movie kind of look like, right? Like what could we do to because he hasn't done that. And I was like, that would be really interesting. No one's kind of done that. And it's not going to be super polished because when people actually fight, most people don't know what they're doing. Like it's always dopey. They may not even want to get near each other, right? Unless they're just grappling on the ground and all that stuff, which is funny. Um, but so I looked at it and I was like, I know, like the way it works, right? Not to be pedantic. The way it works is if you don't have an idea of what you want to do for that, the stuntmen will take it over because that's their job. Like they'll come on and say, all right, we're gonna do the choreography and it's gonna be this and this and this and this and this. And it may fit the tone or not. It may make sense or not because they're not you. They haven't read the script a billion times. Like they don't know. So I knew it was important and I knew that day was within like the first 2 weeks we were shooting the fight. And you only have so much time too, right? You have the park for as much time as you have. We're worried about rain, we're worried about all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out this fight choreography like now. We're shooting it in 2 days. It's Friday, we're shooting it Monday. I got to figure it out. And so I went over to the park and I looked at everything and took all my notes and stuff. And then that Saturday and Sunday, I just wrote up the entire like kind of fight and all the cameras. And I was like, all right, this is going to be 97 shots or whatever it was, 98 shots. And I got to get all this stuff and this portion and this portion. And this is where my camera is going to be to make it maximum doofiness while also moving the story forward with whatever's happening there. So it was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to shoot, and a lot of fun to get through it. And I'm happy with what we have up on screen, but it definitely was not supposed to be a polished fight.
Oh, dude, and I think I was gonna ask one last question, man.
Sure.
The posters in his room,
Yeah.
Vertigo and Endless Summer.
Well, look, I mean, Vertigo is amazing, right? Like Vertigo is amazing. Like it's not my Hitchcock, it's not my favorite Hitchcock movie. Mine is Rear Window. I got a giant poster right over here about it. But it's amazing. It's amazing. And I'll tell you more about it in a second. That's Vertigo. And then as far as Endless Summer goes, I liked Endless Summer. Was that the did can you remind me, did I have the poster? It must have been Endless Summer 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we were trying to be time appropriate as well, with what can go up from a time period that would make sense for a guy who's growing up, who's in his 30s, late 30s, in the 70s. So he's got to be knowledgeable of these movies that came out before that. And they hit him at a time where he's like, that's a favorite movie I'm going to hang up. So there was a little bit of, is he have a poster from when he was like 13, 14, 15, which is what I was kind of going for. And it's just kind of been up the whole time. Or is it a little bit more like newer? And I landed on, let's do something that feels like he's perpetually 12 years old. Like that whole group is supposed to be like, there was a bunch of times where to John, I would just tell him, hey man, do it like you're 12. And he's like, what? And I was like, you're 12 years old. How you would answer when you were 12. And he's like, okay. And that's when we would get, Claude, you're not my dad, right? He runs off with the phone. Um, so that's kind of the idea behind why those posters, why they make sense for this guy. Now, I'll also tell you, I like those movies a lot. And it sucks to say, but the producing side of it is what can you get? What do you have access to that's allowed? Those two were in the group that was allowed.
And I do believe there's no actors on those posters.
Right,
So
right,
you don't have to pay
right.
because if you would have
Exactly.
had like, I don't know, Star Wars, you probably would have had to
Oof,
pay
that would have been tough.
Mark Hamill and or I
Yeah,
guess even like Terminator, it would be like Arnold.
yeah. I don't know the specific rules for all of that stuff. The art department, Cameron Barrett, who's our production designer, is really good. He was on top of that stuff. They fudge to be conservative of let's just not get anywhere near trouble, because then we had other stuff where you have products, right? Like in shots. Um, and there's like it's so crazy. There's two lines of thinking. One is you have to get everything cleared. You want anything anywhere, you have to get it cleared. And then there's another guy, that's one lawyer. And then there's another guy who's not a lawyer, but works in that field. And he's like, you don't have to get anything cleared. Just don't use it for anything negative. It's understood that products will be in your movie. As long as you're using it for the intended purpose, you're good. Don't don't smoke, don't do drugs off of a ding dong. You're going to be all right, right? Like that's the overriding. No, you're going to be fine. You don't need to do all that stuff. Um,
Um,
yeah.
okay. Well, that just you ever seen the movie Detroit Rock City?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I remember on the commentary they were talking about that because there's that scene with the Stretch Armstrong,
Mm.
and they wanted to get the Stretch Armstrong, but they said no at first because it wasn't for the intended use.
Mm.
Like they wanted to make sure it had to like stretch to the actual capability of the
Oh.
Stretch Armstrong. It
Mm.
couldn't stretch like farther or something. I don't know. They
Interesting.
like brought it up in the commentary. I was like,
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's like the company thought, oh, we could get sued by someone seeing this movie if if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It's weird because it's like a comedy, right? Like who would you could just say it's a comedy. Like it's not supposed to be real. But I could see why someone would be worried about it. The other thing I heard was if you ask, like from this guy who works in the field, he was like, if you ask those people to use the product, they just won't reply. It'll take 18 months for them to apply, and then you're just not going to get it. So he's like, it doesn't make sense. Don't do all that. Then, I'm sure I'm talking about a bunch of stuff that is the most boring stuff in the world.
oh, and well, another thing about posters, I guess you can use animals.
Hmm.
Like you can't use act like if you use actors, you got to pay them. But if you use animals,
Hmm.
then you can use that because you don't pay for animals or something.
I mean,
Like
I don't know, man.
it's
Maybe.
like something like that. It's so like like in movies, if you see like a poster and it doesn't have an
Hmm.
actor, it's because they didn't want to pay the actor. But if you see one with like an animal, like that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, dude. I think usually in your contract with the actors, it's pretty common to just write over, hey, we can use your likeness in artwork and all that kind of stuff because it's your movie. But you have to get those whatever you're going to use approved before you do it. That seems pretty common for us too. Like, we haven't had anyone who's like, what are you doing? Knock it off. Except for one poster that the sub distributor made, which was awful. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. It took it had John in the middle, all beat up, and then it had the twins to his left and right, but it took off the twins' heads and put on Billy's head and Gina's head. It made no sense. It's awful. And I told them, I don't approve that image. And they were like, we don't care. And I said, okay, well, Billy and John and Gina don't approve that image either. And they still said, well, what are you going to do about it? And, like that's a lot of like filmy people are kind of like that. I don't think they used that, but they pushed out a trailer I also said they shouldn't use, which is pretty unfortunate because we have some really good trailers, and then they put out an awful trailer on it.
Um, is, is that the trailer with the voiceover?
There's a voiceover one. Oof.
I think there's like, well, it's like him. It's like John or something, and it's like his voice or
Oh,
something.
I've always dreamed of being a mercenary. That one? Yes,
Yeah,
yes, that's there. Oh, it's awful.
dude, that's the best. Yeah, I know that one because
Oof.
they got like the good one where it has
Yeah,
like the focus song,
yeah, yeah. That's the one I
and
did. The focus one is the one we made that I made. The
that
other
was
one,
awesome
I
because I was like
told
showing
them.
people, and I'm
I
like,
was, yeah. What
and
is
because
this? They're like,
yeah,
why would we want to see this awful movie?
and then
I
I show them the focus one, the good one, and they're like, oh, this looks like a good movie.
yeah, it made no sense, man. It made no sense. Like the stuff that we're putting out, like that my company's putting out, it's just not to be narcissistic. It's just better. Like they're a bunch of suits putting out junk because they don't know what they're doing. Unfortunately, yeah, that sucks. That makes me
Uh,
sad. Makes me sad in my heart that you guys see that.
and I actually knew what you were talking about,
Mm.
so
It's real
uh,
bad. It's real bad.
yeah.
It's real bad. Oof. Okay.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah,
doing
absolutely.
this, man. This is so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. If anything else comes up, you're curious about it, let me know.
Okay, actually, you know what? I do have another question.
Yeah,
Okay,
of
so I
course.
bought this DVD on Walmart, right?
Okay.
So, and I don't know if this is a bootleg,
I mean, I hope not.
because it's like okay, because it's like it looks like it's like recorded on like
Yeah.
a DVD,
Uh-huh.
so it's that,
I don't know, man.
and
I,
I bought it from Walmart, so it's an
yeah.
official
You would think
site.
it was real. Like no one's like,
Because it's like
ah.
even the label looks kind of like it's printed on a little bit.
Yeah, I think oof.
And it
I
says it's
think
not
that's the
rated.
I think that's the sub distributor that did all that. Their name's Indican. Oof, oof. You know, it was funny on that Blu-ray DVD when they said they were going to do those. I said, "Oh, cool," because most people don't do those anymore. I was like, "Cool. You know, we can give you a commentary. Like everyone who's involved wants to do a commentary for that. Like I'll do one, John wants to do one, the twins, like, you know, I can do one with the DP. I can, you know, like everyone wants to do it. It'll be super cool. We can get Kung Fu Mike to come in and do his commentary of the whole movie, which Mike is awesome. Like he's just super talented, doesn't get enough credit. Like that's a lot of the group. Like Tornado Ted, like they were all we got really I'm really, really fortunate that we had so many funny people in the movie that people don't know. Uh, they just said they said, great, we're going to push your release. They had already pushed us a bunch of times, and they're like, we're going to push your release back to January. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. Because we were lucky to get December 2nd. I had to talk to Magnolia, who's our higher distributor, to work out early December because we were supposed to be last summer. And I was happy with early December. I was like, that's a good time. But then the sub who's kind of made that trailer, they're like, oh, you know, we'll just do January. Hold on, what's the worst date? January 13th. We'll do that. And I was like, ugh, no, that's all right. I'll just put it online then. So it's a shame because I wish those were on there.
Okay. And okay, so officially the movie's January or is it December?
It was
Because
December 2nd.
okay, because I was gonna say if I do my list of the best movies of 2026.
Hey man, for you it's January 1. You got it.
Okay. All right, man. Well,
That's when
thank
we
you.
talk. We're good.
Okay, thank you so much for
Yeah,
doing
but
this, man. This was awesome.
yeah, man. Good seeing you. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, later.